it's me China and welcome back to my YouTube channel. As y'all can see by the title of the video, this is another story time, so I'm not even gonna waste y'all time. We're gonna get straight into this story time of me going on the absolute worst date I've ever been on in my life. Like, let's get into it. So if y'all watched my last story time of me sneaking out of a grown man's house, this is the same guy, Haitian guy. So if you didn't watch that story time, me and Haitian guy, we met at a bar, whatever the case may be. Ended up like talking for a few, going to his house. His mama came home, had to sneak out his house. It was a whole thing. I was hiding in the closet, all of that. But in that story time, I told y'all that before that incident, we actually went on a date and it was the worst date ever. So I'm here to give y'all a story time on exactly what went down on that date. So first things first, like I had said in my other story time, we have been talking for a while. You know, we've been texting, FaceTiming every day. And I said in the last story time that he was a cheap guy. So y'all keep that in mind. When I tell y'all this man was cheap, like it was given, what's that guy from SpongeBob? It was given Mr. Crab. Yeah, he was given Mr. Crab. He could have been his son, Mr. Crab was probably his uncle. I don't know, but y'all, he was the cheapest guy I've ever, and I'm not even gonna say date because we didn't date, but he was one of the cheapest guys that I've ever dealt with. So he was a school teacher. He taught disability kids or kids who have disabilities. So as y'all know, school teachers, they don't really get paid that much money. I'm not knocking school teachers, but they don't get paid that much money. So I don't know if his like work situation was the reason why he was so cheap, or if he just didn't like spending money on girls who wasn't quote unquote his girlfriend. Because like I said, we never dated, we never put a title on it, we was just chilling, we was kicking it. Cool. So y'all, before the whole me sneaking out his house incident, he wanted to go on a date. So me, I'm like, okay, cool. This guy has never asked me out on a date. All we used to do really was just turn up together. Like we always drunk together. We went out together. His friends and my friends always partied together. So that was kind of our dynamic, our chemistry. Like we would just drink, have fun, have us a good time, go our separate ways. Cool. So one particular day he wanted to go on a date. So I'm like, okay, this is different. Mind y'all, I knew he was cheap. So I'm like, he want to take me on a date? This man is never trying to spend money. Like even the people he would talk to me about, like other girls and stuff, because I mean we would talk about other guys, other girls. I would talk to him about other guys, he would talk to me about other girls. Like he never spent money or never did like anything romantic or anything like that. So when he told me he wanted to take me out, I was like, okay, let's do it. I love me a free meal. Okay, I love me a free meal. So the day of the date, he hit me up like, hey, do you want to go out? Da, da, da. So he's asking me what I want to do. I'm like, I don't really care. We could just go get food, you know what I'm saying, a couple of drinks, we could chill, whatever, you know what I'm saying, like it's up to you. So he picks this spot, and the spot is like downtown. So it's like 5 minutes away from where I stay. So he tells me like what time he wants to go, da da da. So he never really said like, oh, I'm gonna come pick you up, or he never said what the arrangements were as to how we was gonna get to the date or how I was gonna get there. So he was just like, yeah, we could go here at this time. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm getting dressed for my date, looking cute, looking cute. I'm telling my friends like, y'all, Haitian boy is taking me out on a date. And they like, what? Even they were surprised because like I said, this man is cheap. All we did was turned up and stuff. So they knew our connection, like, and they knew all we did was really drink together and go out together, and his friends, our friends hang out. So even my friends was like, okay, let me know how it go. Let me know how it goes. So I'm like, okay, you know, so I'm getting cute for my date, you know, looking good, smelling good, got on a cute outfit, hair looking cute, makeup bomb as always. So as I'm getting ready for the date, he texts me and was just like, are you gonna come pick me up? Excuse me, huh? Repeat that? What? He goes, are you gonna come pick me up? So I'm like, well, I stay 5 minutes away. I don't know why I will come pick you up, for one, when I'm closer to the place and you're out the way. And for two, you asked me on a date. Why am I coming to pick you up? Red flag number one, red flag number one, red flag number one. Why are you asking me to come pick you up and we're going on a quote unquote date? told him no. I said, I'm right up the street. I'm 5 minutes away and I'm not coming to pick you up if this is supposed to be a date. So he goes, okay, how about you just come to me and we'll catch a ferry to downtown where we was going. Like I said, I stayed 5 minutes away. So I could have easily have driven myself downtown, but he had mentioned a ferry. I'm like, oh, that's cute. I've never been on a ferry before. Yeah, let's do that. So I finished getting dressed, you know what I'm saying? I told him I was on the way, so I headed to him. Mind y'all, when I tell y'all he stayed out the way, he stayed out of the way. I literally had to go like around. I had to pass the date where we were going and go like all the way around just to get to him. Okay, so I get to his house. Mind y'all, I had to go out the way. When I tell y'all out the way, it was literally, it took me like 20-25 minutes just to get to his house. When the date we were going to, I could have got there in 5 minutes. But anyway, I'm like, oh, a ferry, cute, 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 cute. So I get to his house. I'm thinking that I'm gonna get in his car and we're gonna drive to the ferry. Y'all, this man comes outside and hops in my car. I just told you I won't drive in. So why are you hopping in my car? So he hops in the car. He's like, okay, we're gonna go to the ferry spot. It's right around the corner. Why am I driving? Why am I driving? So he's like, well, you already in the car and I just came out. You might as well drive. I'm already in the car now. Okay, whatever. The ferry spot was right up the street. So I'm like, okay, cool. So he hops in the car. We get to the ferry. This man ain't know what time the ferry come. He didn't know the schedule. He didn't know anything. We just pulling up and we on straight vibes at this point. So we pull up to the ferry place and I'm like, okay, so when is the ferry coming? So he's like, oh, I don't know. I've never done this before. And you didn't think to look it up? You didn't think to like be like, oh, let me check the schedule, see what time it's coming. He didn't do none of that. He just heard about a ferry and was like, yeah, let's go check it out. But thankfully, the ferry, the one we was getting on, it runs like every 5-10 minutes or something like that. So we didn't have to wait long. We probably sat there for maybe like 10-15 minutes before the ferry came and we had to get on a ferry. So y'all, red flag number 2. So we get to the ferry, you know, it's a line for you to get on the ferry, go on the boat, and the boat takes you downtown. So as we're standing in line, I hear people saying like, oh, it costs da da da. I thought it was free, honestly. I thought the ferry literally just took you to downtown and it was free. So I seen people paying, so I turned to him and I'm like, you know, you gotta pay, you got cash on you or whatever, because I heard the guy say they don't take cards or they don't take anything like that. You had to have cash. So he's like, no, I don't have no cash. So I'm like, so how the freak we about to get on this ferry? So he like, oh, it's cool, it's cool, it's cool. So we're getting closer to the guy who's like collecting the money or whatever the case may be. So we get up there. Mind you, he already knows that you have to pay to get on the ferry because I just told him, I overheard somebody saying you got to pay cash. He didn't care. He still wanted to go up there and play this little game and act like, oh, I didn't know, da da da. So we get up to the guy. I'm just sitting there quiet because I ain't saying not a goddamn thing because I already told you you had to have cash because I overheard the conversation. So we get up there to the guy and the guy's like, oh, and mind y'all, the ferry was only $2. Uno, dos. It was only $2 per person. We get up to the guy. The guy's like, oh, $2. So he tried to hand him his card and the guy was like, oh, we don't take cards. I just told you that 5 minutes ago. Anywho, the guy's like, oh, we don't take cards. So he was like, oh, man. Oh, checking his, oh, I don't have no cash on me. I don't have no cash on me. I'll just, he was like, let us get on a ferry. And then when we get to downtown, I'll take out money and make sure I pay double on the way back. So the guy was like, okay, cool, just get on a ferry. Like, y'all just go ahead because there was people behind us. So he was like, okay, just go ahead. When you come back, just make sure that you pay extra or you pay for the ride going there. So he's like, okay, cool, I can do that, I can do that, I can do that. So we get on the ferry. It's a cute little scenery, you know what I'm saying? It's a whole bunch of other couples, you know, coupled up, watching the sunset. And we're sitting there and this man is on his phone watching basketball. I lie to y'all not. We're on the ferry. We're sitting there beside each other. And he's like this. Got his arm around me and like this. Watching the basketball game. Zoned in. So I'm like, how you take me on a date and you on your phone watching basketball? Like, am I boring? And I know I have a great personality. personality is 10 out of 10 if you ask me. I'm not a boring person. So the fact that you sitting here on your phone watching basketball and I'm sitting right next to you, like, that is rude. So I'm like, trying to, you know, start up a conversation. So how was your day today? What's going on? He's like giving me short answers because he's zoned into the basketball game. So I'm like, okay, red flag number 3. Red flag number 3, y'all. He is into the game. I don't even know who was playing, but it had to have been his favorite team, because the fact that you got a baddie sitting next to you and you watching the game, like, excuse me, what? So y'all, the ferry ride was literally like 5 minutes. Like, we went right across the water. Downtown was right there. So we get off the ferry and we go inside. So the place where we were going, it's like this big building downtown, and it had different restaurants and bars and stuff inside. So you can literally walk to whatever restaurant you want to go to, walk to whatever bar you want to go to, and they have like live music and stuff like that. It's a really good time. So get in there, we try to go to the restaurant, but by the time we got there, I think the restaurants were closing because we got there like kind of late. It was like 6, 7, 8. I don't know why they was closing. I think they had like an event going on or something, but most of the restaurants were closed. So everybody was sitting like in the foyer, or if you've been downtown, do you know what I'm talking about? But everybody was pretty much sitting like at the bars and in the main area. Nobody was really going to the restaurant. So I peeped that and I'm like, oh, the restaurants must be closed, or they must be having something going on. So, but again, why didn't you do your research before we got here? Because you would have known, oh, the restaurants aren't going to be open because they're having an event. So the restaurants were closed. Everybody was sitting in the main area, going to the bars and stuff like that. And it had like a bunch of TVs up. Y'all, guess what was on the TVs? The same freaking basketball game this man was watching on the ferry on the way over here. So at this point, I'm like, was this planned? Like, I don't know if it was a playoff game. I don't know what was going on, because like I said, the restaurants was closed. Everybody was sitting in the main area. Everybody was watching the TV. So it's like, is this an important game? And if it is, why did you choose to go on a date tonight when you know that you wanted to watch this game? So it's giving like a setup. It's giving you wanted to come here to watch the game and you just brought me along with you. This is not a date. Like, excuse me, what? So we get there, restaurants are closed. She was like, so what do you want to eat? They only had 2 spots. It was like a sandwich spot and it was like a hot dog spot or something like that. So I'm like, okay, we might as well just get sandwiches and sit down. So we get to the line where the sandwiches are. Again, instead of us communicating, because we're on a date, having a conversation, this man is watching the game in the line. So I'm literally sitting there like, this is like the most boringest date I've ever been on. This shit is whack. This is boring. Like, I don't even mind y'all. I like basketball, but I don't want to sit here and watch basketball on a date. And our first date at that. Like, this is corny. So red flag number 4 is about to come up. So we get to the freaking get up to the sandwich spot, right? And he's like, okay, what you want? We're gonna share. He said we was gonna share a sandwich. This man said we was going to share a sandwich. When I tell y'all, I wanted to go home. I wanted to go freaking home. He's like, what sandwich do you want? We just gonna share one. Why are we sharing a sandwich on a date? So at this point, I'm irritated. I just said, I don't care what we get, because now I have an attitude. I'm about to sit here quiet. You don't want to communicate with me. You want to watch this game. So you do you, boo. So, and mind y'all, I didn't have my car. I couldn't leave. We rode on a freaking ferry. So it was like a whole lot going on. I ain't know. I was trying to figure out how the heck I'm going to get up out of here. So that's what I'm thinking in my head. Like, okay, this date is the worst day I've ever been on. How am I about to get up out of here? So he orders the food. We go sit down at the table. Splits the sandwich in half. We're eating this half sandwich and some fries. And again, he's tuned in to the basketball game. So I'm sitting there. I guess he finally see like the look on my face and asked what's wrong. And I'm just like, you really brought me here to watch basketball. He's like, oh no, I didn't even know that they was going to have basketball playing here. I think that was a lie, but he claimed he didn't know they was going to have basketball playing there, whatever the case may be. So I'm just like, okay, whatever. So he tries to have like little conversation with me. Again, I'm irritated because not only was we on the ferry and you was on your phone watching basketball, now we here trying to have these little conversations with me, but you're still trying to watch the basketball game at the same time. And then you got me over here splitting a meal with you. Like, who do I look like? What do I look like? Boo Boo the Fool? I had to have been looking like Boo Boo the Fool back then, because baby, today that would not fly at all. So we finished eating. I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go. By this time, it's like 9, 10 o'clock at night. I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go. I'm bored. I'm not even watching the game. I'm on my phone. I'm low-key texting my homegirls like, this is the worst day ever. Hey, it's your boy done said we was gonna go out on a date. I'm thinking we're going to a restaurant, and we're over here at a bar watching basketball. Like, and they're low-key laughing because they're like, well, what did you expect? Like, what did you expect from this guy? And then I told them, like, we're sitting here splitting a sandwich. So they're cracking up laughing. I'm like, I'm ready to go home. So he's like, okay, we could go. Yo, we go outside to try to catch the ferry back, because I told y'all we caught the ferry there. We ain't had no car. We ain't had nothing. We go to try to catch the ferry back. The ferry was done for the night. They was like, oh, we're not doing no more rides. So I'm looking at him, again, unprepared, didn't plan not a lick of nothing. Because why don't you know the schedule? Why didn't you know what time the restaurants close? You just out here just straight on vibes, just dragging me along with you, saying it's a quote-unquote date, and you ain't even playing nothing. So the ferry is done. So I'm looking at him like, so what are we about to do? Because how am I supposed to get back to my car? How you supposed to get back home? Like, what are we about to do? So I suggest the Uber. Of course, his cheap butt talk outside. I'm not paying for no Uber. Uber. Who's getting the Uber? So how, sir, how are we supposed to get back home? You gonna call your crazy mama to come get us? Huh? Like, what? At this point, when I tell y'all, I was so irritated. We're sitting outside looking dumb. And I'm like, I'm asking the people, so what time did the ferry stop? They said 10 o'clock. Y'all, we literally got outside at 10:05. So we had just missed it. So now I'm extra pissed. Because I'm like, we literally just missed it. And instead of you actually planning out a proper date for us and seeing what time the ferry start and stop and all that, you just decide to just, fuck it, we just gonna go somewhere. And I really felt like he only took the ferry because he didn't want to pay no gas to get to downtown. Because mind y'all, I told y'all he asked me to drive. He asked me to come pick him up and drive him downtown, and I said no, I wasn't doing that. So he said, okay, let's catch the ferry, because the ferry was cheaper and it was only $2 that you didn't have anyway in cash. So you finessed us a ride over here because you didn't pay the $2. You were supposed to get them people extra money when you got back, and the ferry is not even running no more. So I'm just like, ooh, baby, the way you just finesse this whole date is crazy. So he's saying he don't want to call an Uber. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna hit up one of my homegirls to come get us. He low-key didn't want me to do that. But honestly, it's like, at this point, how am I supposed to get to my car? And you obviously don't want to call an Uber. You don't really care how we getting back. I do. So I'm gonna call up my homegirls. So I called up Sunshine. I hit up Sunshine, so I call her. Mind you, he's sitting right beside me. I'm like, hey girl, what you doing? She like, oh, nothing. Me and Liar just sitting here chilling, whatever the case may be. So I'm like, so, and mind you, I had already texted her. Well, I was already texting them about the date and what was going on. So she already knew, like, okay, we came over here on the ferry. He didn't have $2. And then we splitting a sandwich. So the fact that I'm calling her, she's like, what's up? What's going on? I'm like, so we took the ferry over here and we went to go get on the ferry to go back, and they stopped running. She's like, what do you mean? They stopped at 10 o'clock, ma'am. It's currently 10:10. So can you come pick me up? So she's like, did he not know what time? I said, girl, just come get me. Just come get us. And then you got to pick me and him up, because we got to, you got to take me to my car, because I drove to the ferry place. So you got to come pick me up. Well, you got to come pick me and him up, because honestly, I should have left him there. Honestly, I should have left him there and he should have figured it out. But my car was over there near his house. So I'm just like, you just got to come pick us up and take me to my car. So she's like, okay, cool. So we're sitting outside. I have an attitude. I'm waiting for my homegirl to pick me up. Mind y'all, we lived like 5 minutes away. We was roommates at the time. So it didn't take her no time for her and Liar to pull up. So they pull up. They pull up cracking up in the car. I could see them laughing as I'm walking to the car, and I'm just like, this is so embarrassing. This is embarrassing. This is the worst date I've ever been on. I gotta call my homegirls to come pick us up. It's just like, what's going on? So we get in the car. I'm irritated. I guess Sunshine and Liar had been drinking or turning up before they came, so they over here turned in a good mood. They got the music on, they blasting, Liar shaking butt out the window, you know what I'm saying, just turned. And me and Haitian boy sitting in the back seat just with a stale face, because I ain't even trying to turn up with y'all right now. I'm irritated. Take me to my car. So the whole ride there, mind you, it took 20 minutes to get back to the car. The whole ride there, they lit, they turning up, they singing music up there, and I'm just in the back seat like irritated. Irritated. Liar was in the passenger seat, tried to pass me a shot. I ain't even want to drink. I don't want none of that, because this is literally the worst date I ever been on. So take me to my car so I can take this man home and I can, you know what I'm saying? Peace out. So we get to my car, they drop us off, they drive off, we get to my car. I had to take this man home because, like I said, he finessed me into driving to the ferry place. He just hopped in my car, so I had to take this man home, dropped him off, and honestly that should have been the last time I talked to him. But then the incident with my birthday, and I went over there and had to sneak out, like that whole story time, that came after the worst date. Why I didn't learn my lesson, I don't know. I think it's because he told me he had a gift for me. And if y'all see my last story time, then y'all know what I'm talking about. If not, go watch my last story time. But I think the only reason why I talked to him again was because he said he had a gift for me. It was my birthday, whatever the case may be. And I'm just like, I can't really be too mad because we're not dating. Like, I already knew how our connection was. I told y'all all we did was drunk together and turned up together. So when he said a date, I should have known, like, he sees me as like one of the guys, because you're taking me to the bar and we're watching basketball. But he called it a date, so I should have known. And he cheap. It's like, girl, China, what did you expect? What did you expect from this man? I don't know. But that was literally the worst date ever. At least he didn't ask me to pay, but low key, I wasted my gas. I drove over there, so low key, that was me spending money. Cause a date, honey, I don't want to pay for nothing. You picking me up, you paying for the food. I'm not splitting no meal with you. I'm not doing any of that. And it was just like, it was too much going on that night. Too much. And he was just very unprepared, and I didn't like that. That's the story time of my worst date ever. Again, if y'all like these story times, leave me some comments down below. Make sure you're liking, commenting, and subscribing to my YouTube channel. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up. Leave me some comments down below. And until next time, bye.